Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome to the deep dive, where we take a stack of sources and try to surface the most interesting insights.
Yeah.
Today we're going to do a deep dive into the life and career of Tulsi Gabbard, a figure who has consistently challenged political norms and sparked both admiration and controversy.
Right.
Our deep dive is based on excerpts from the biography, Who is Tulsi Gabbard?
Okay.
And we'll trace Gabbard's path from her upbringing all the way to her current nomination as Director of National Intelligence by President-elect Donald Trump.
Yeah, it is a fascinating story, and her background is really crucial to understanding her journey.
So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
The biography really emphasizes the influence of her multicultural upbringing. Born in American Samoa,
Right.
raised in Hawaii with a Hindu mother and a Catholic father who was active in local politics, it seems her childhood was steeped in diverse perspectives and a strong sense of civic duty.
Yeah, her family's commitment to public service is evident in her early life.
Yeah.
And the book highlights how her parents instilled in her a sense of duty and discipline. You know, she was homeschooled, which allowed for a tailored education focused on self-reliance and critical thinking.
Those qualities certainly seem to have manifested in her later life.
Yeah.
The book states she was a disciplined student and excelled in her studies. It also suggests that this homeschooling experience fostered a strong sense of independence.
And that independence is a recurring theme throughout her life, even in her teenage years. She showed a willingness to go against the grain.
The biography mentions her involvement in environmental activism as a teenager.
Right.
Specifically, her work to oppose a proposed landfill project that threatened a delicate ecosystem in Hawaii.
Interesting.
She organized protests, mobilized her peers, and even testified before government officials.
This early foray into activism foreshadows her future political engagement. It demonstrates her willingness to take a stand on issues she believes in, even at a young age.
And then, of course, there's her military service, which plays a huge role in her story.
Absolutely. Her decision to enlist in the Hawaii Army National Guard in 2003 is a pivotal moment. The book details her rigorous training and her eventual deployment to Iraq and Kuwait.
It really emphasizes the physical and mental challenges she faced during her deployments and how these experiences shaped her worldview.
She earned numerous honors, including the Meritorious Service Medal and the Combat Medical Badge.
Wow.
These accolades speak to her dedication and bravery.
The biography also highlights how her military experience deepened her understanding of the human cost of war.
Yeah.
And solidified her opposition to what she calls regime change wars.
This experience is fundamental to her stance on foreign policy, which, as we know, has been a source of both praise and criticism throughout her career.
Let's move on to her entry into politics.
Okay.
She was elected to the Hawaii House of Representatives at the incredibly young age of 21.
Yeah, it's a testament to her early ambition and her ability to connect with voters. Even at that age, she demonstrated a strong grasp of policy and a passion for public service.
The book notes that during her time in the state legislature, she focused on issues such as environmental protection and affordable housing. Her approach was described as pragmatic and solution-oriented.
She also gained a reputation for her willingness to work across the aisle, something that would become increasingly rare in her later political career.
Her decision to step down from her re-election campaign in 2004 to serve in Iraq is particularly noteworthy.
Yeah.
It underscores her commitment to service over political ambition.
It was a bold move that solidified her image as someone who put duty before personal gain.
This decision also set the stage for her later foray into national politics. In 2012, she was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District.
Her time in Congress is where we see her independent streak truly take shape. Serving on both the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs committees, she quickly gained a reputation for challenging the status quo.
And this is where the controversies really begin to emerge. Her foreign policy views, in particular, has sparked considerable debate and scrutiny.
Her vocal opposition to U.S. intervention in Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq put her at odds with many in both the Democratic and Republican establishments.
She argued that these interventions were often counterproductive, leading to instability and unintended consequences.
Her stance on these issues aligned more with non-interventionist thinkers, often associated with the libertarian right.
Right.
This further cemented her image as a political maverick unwilling to conform to party lines.
Perhaps the most controversial episode during her time in Congress was her 2017 meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
Right.
This decision drew sharp criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, who saw it as legitimizing a dictator accused of war crimes.
Gabbard defended her actions, arguing that dialogue, even with controversial figures, was essential to understanding the conflict and seeking peaceful solutions. She maintained that isolating Assad would only exacerbate the situation and make a political settlement more difficult.
The meeting with Assad, however, further fueled accusations that she was sympathetic to Russia and its allies. This perception was compounded by her criticisms of U.S. foreign policy, which often echoed Russian talking points.
Her rhetoric on these issues often blurred the lines between legitimate foreign policy debate and pro-Russian propaganda. This made her a target of scrutiny from those concerned about Russian interference in U.S. politics.
In 2019, Hillary Clinton even suggested that Gabbard was being groomed by foreign adversaries, a claim Gabbard vehemently denied and ultimately sued Clinton for defamation.
Right.
The lawsuit was later dismissed, but the damage was done further straining her relationship with the Democratic Party.
This incident highlights the deep divisions that had emerged between Gabbard and the Democratic establishment. Her willingness to challenge her own party and her increasingly close ties to figures on the right signaled a potential shift in her political allegiance.
And this brings us to her eventual and really dramatic departure from the Democratic Party in 2022.
Yeah, her announcement in a video message really sent shockwaves through the political landscape.
She criticized what she saw as the party's shift toward woke policies and
Alignment with corporate interests.
and continued support for military interventionism.
The biography really delves into the factors that led to her decision, suggesting she felt increasingly alienated from the Democratic Party's direction and just totally disillusioned with its leadership.
She argued that the party had abandoned its commitment to working-class Americans
Right.
and had become too focused on identity politics and cultural issues.
Her departure was seen by many as a culmination of her years-long dissent from Democratic orthodoxy.
And it also foreshadowed her subsequent alignment with Donald Trump.
Right, a figure who had consistently disrupted political norms and challenged the establishment.
Her endorsement of Trump in the 2024 presidential election surprised many, but it was perhaps a logical progression,
Yeah.
given her evolving political views and her growing alienation for the Democratic Party.
Throughout the campaign, she appeared at numerous events alongside Trump, emphasizing their shared goals of reducing foreign intervention, addressing government overreach, and prioritizing domestic economic issues.
Her alignment with Trump, however, raised concerns among those who viewed him as a threat to democratic institutions and norms.
Her association with Trump further cemented her image as a controversial figure willing to align herself with those who shared her views, regardless of their political affiliation.
And this brings us to the most recent and perhaps most perplexing chapter in her story, her nomination as Director of National Intelligence by President-elect Trump.
This nomination was met with a mixture of shock and just disbelief. It was a stunning development.
Yeah.
Given her lack of direct experience in the intelligence community and her history of controversial statements on foreign policy.
The biography captures the sense of bewilderment that greeted this announcement.
Yeah.
Many questioned whether she possessed the necessary qualifications and experience to lead such a critical agency.
Critics pointed to her lack of familiarity with the intricacies of intelligence gathering, analysis, and operations.
Her background, while impressive in other areas, doesn't provide the kind of direct, hands-on experience that many deem essential for this role.
And her foreign policy views, particularly her stance towards Russia and Syria, have also sparked significant anxiety.
Indeed, her past comments suggesting moral equivalence between U.S. actions and those of nations like Russia have raised serious questions about her objectivity.
The biography highlights concerns that her perspective on these matters could compromise her ability to effectively lead U.S. intelligence efforts.
Especially in light of her previous critiques of U.S. foreign interventions and her willingness to engage with leaders like Assad.
There's a fear that she might be more inclined to trust the narratives of those considered adversaries to the U.S.
A concern exacerbated by her close relationship with Trump, who himself has a history of distrusting the intelligence community.
Critics worry that this relationship could further undermine the independence of the intelligence apparatus,
potentially leading to a situation where intelligence assessments are viewed through a partisan lens rather than an objective one.
It's a valid concern. The Director of National Intelligence needs to be seen as impartial and above political maneuvering.
Absolutely. And the perception, fair or not, is that Gabbard's loyalty may lie more with Trump than with the intelligence community itself.
Adding another layer of complexity to an already controversial nomination.
Her past support for socially conservative legislation has also drawn criticism from progressive groups.
Her endorsement of Florida's Parental Rights and Education Act in 2022, for example, was condemned by many as discriminatory towards the LGBTQ+ community.
This further solidifies the view of Gabbard as a divisive figure whose positions often align more with conservative ideology.
And likely complicates her path to confirmation, as she'll face opposition not just on grounds of experience and foreign policy views, but also on her social stances.
It paints a picture of a nominee facing an uphill battle with multiple fronts of opposition to contend with.
Even among those who acknowledge Gabbard's willingness to challenge the status quo, there's a deep apprehension about her capacity to effectively lead the intelligence community.
Her nomination represents a significant gamble on the part of President-elect Trump.
One that carries the potential for both radical change and substantial risk.
And the stakes couldn't be higher, as the decisions made by the intelligence community have far-reaching implications for national security and global stability.
The Senate confirmation process is likely to be a crucial moment.
A public forum where these concerns will be aired, and Gabbard will have to defend her qualifications and her vision for the future of U.S. intelligence.
It remains to be seen whether she can assuage those anxieties and convince skeptics that she's the right person for this critical role.
Her nomination has sparked a debate that transcends partisan lines and forces us to confront fundamental questions about the relationship between political leadership ideology and the intelligence community.
And that's a debate that's unlikely to be settled anytime soon.
It's a conversation that will continue to evolve as Gabbard's nomination process unfolds, and as her potential tenure as DNI, should she be confirmed, takes shape. So where do we go from here? Gabbard's nomination as DNI hangs in the balance with the Senate confirmation process looming.
It's a pivotal moment. The outcome of this process will not only determine Gabbard's immediate future, but could also have lasting implications for U.S. intelligence.
Let's consider the potential scenarios.
Okay.
If confirmed, Gabbard will step into one of the most powerful and sensitive roles in government.
Her leadership could bring about significant changes to the intelligence community, particularly in terms of its priorities and its relationship with the executive branch.
Given her stated commitment to transparency and accountability, some anticipate a move towards greater congressional oversight and a reduction in classified information.
However, others worry that her close ties to President-elect Trump could lead to a politicization of intelligence, with assessments tailored to fit a specific political agenda.
There's also the question of how her non-interventionist foreign policy views will translate into action. Will she advocate for a scaling back of U.S. intelligence operations overseas?
And how will her perspective on nations like Russia and Syria impact intelligence gathering and analysis? Will there be a shift away from traditional adversarial relationships?
These are questions that the Senate will undoubtedly probe during the confirmation hearings.
And Gabbard's responses will be crucial in determining whether she can garner enough support for confirmation.
But what if she's not confirmed? This scenario raises a whole different set of questions.
It would be a significant setback for President-elect Trump, signaling a lack of confidence in his choice for such a critical position.
It could also further inflame partisan tensions and deepen the divide between the executive branch and the intelligence community.
The question then becomes, who would Trump nominate next? Would he seek a candidate more palatable to the Senate, or double down on his preference for an outsider?
Either way, the fallout from a failed confirmation could have long-lasting consequences for the intelligence community and its ability to effectively carry out its mission.
The stakes are undeniably high. The future of U.S. intelligence and its role in shaping national security policy hangs in the balance.
Gabbard's nomination has brought these issues to the forefront of national conversation.
It's a debate that transcends partisan lines, forcing us to grapple with fundamental questions about the nature of intelligence, its relationship to political power, and its impact on our lives.
Regardless of the outcome of the confirmation process, Tulsi Gabbard's story serves as a stark reminder of the complex and often contentious interplay between politics, ideology, and national security. It compels us to engage in thoughtful and informed discussions about the kind of leadership we want for our intelligence community and the values that should guide its actions.
This deep dive has provided you with context and insight. The future of U.S. intelligence may depend on using this information to engage in these crucial conversations.
Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.